Welcome back to The Full View. Now, Minister of Electricity Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa said that lights should stay on over this festive season. We've enjoyed quite a number of days during this time without rolling blackouts, which has been quite welcome news for most, if not all, South Africans. Well, this is due to electricity demand being below supply, with the country having approximately 27,700 megawatts available. And despite the challenges of this year with the threats of a total collapse of the national grid, Dr Ramokgopa assures that load shedding is currently suspended until at least Friday afternoon. We're now joined by Mr Vally Padayachee, NRS Management Committee Chair, to give us some more insight. Festive greetings to you, Vally. Obviously, some very welcome news during this time, but is it sustainable? We know that factories will be opening soon and the usual hustle and bustle will commence.
Good afternoon and season's greetings to you, Bongiwe, and to the listeners. And hopefully, so 2024 will be a better year for all of us on many fronts. And thank you for inviting me. Yes, I'm sure you, the listeners, and myself included, woke up every morning for the last 2 weeks, and we're absolutely thrilled and excited that we were going to enjoy the rest of the day without any load shedding. And as you said, sort of currently, and you alluded to, the supply is exceeding demand, and I would argue by significant lengths. But unfortunately, Bongiwe, you said by Friday, well, let's wait and see. But once the businesses, the industrials, the commercials all get back to work, and also bearing in mind that the grid sustains itself, we will get back to load shedding. The levels of load shedding, I can't tell you now. It depends on the extent that the grid holds. But that said, I must say that the ESCOM generation leadership, the ESCOM generation team, have been doing an excellent job of recent in trying to get the performance levels up. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, by the Minister's own admission, the grid is still, in technical terms, unstable and also technically erratic. So we could bounce back to higher loads of load shedding, or we could get back to reasonably normal levels.
Vally, look, we understand that aggressive maintenance efforts are currently being carried out on power stations at this time. But, I mean, looking at the events of the whole year, where we have been promised time and time again that such was being carried out, and then suddenly fall into unexpected higher stages of load shedding. Should we then, as a public, trust and believe that this won't be the case next year?
Well, let me answer it. I obviously don't talk on behalf of ESCOM, but let me answer it in a very professional manner, professional, ethical manner, which I normally do, and indicate to you that, as I said, the grid is still technically unstable, the grid is erratic, and there are many risks associated with that. But let me focus on 4 risks, which I call existential risks, because if we don't take care of them, we could collapse the grid. Now, I'm not advocating sort of scare around this, but just to give you the facts. The first significant risk, also by the Minister's own admission, is that our energy availability factor is sitting at a low 55% at the moment, thereabouts. We need to be at about 75%. To be out of the woods, and in the unlikely event of the 55% dropping further, we could get into a worse off situation, the worst being we could collapse the grid. So that's the first significant risk, Bongiwe. The second risk, which has reared its head of recently, is that we have a severely constrained national grid, meaning the national transmission and distribution grid. In very simple terms, Bongiwe, it means that in the Northern Cape, where we have the best sunshine in the world, the best irradiation, the grid is severely constrained. And in Mpumalanga, where we have enough capacity, contextually, it's not good for renewables. And to alleviate the situation, as you may have picked up in the media, we need to make significant investments into the transmission infrastructure at huge cost, capital cost. And the fiscus is constrained, they don't have the money. South Africa's investment climate is also not favorable. So we've got to try and come up with new technologies and to squeeze out and evacuate the electrons that we can get from the existing grid. And just two more points, Bongiwe. The ESCOM has consciously taken a decision, and the Minister has emphasized this significantly in his last address, that which I support, is that they've taken off 8,000 megawatts off the grid for planned maintenance, meaning that they've taken off units consciously which have got some problems, load losses, partial load losses, and they're volunteering in terms of maintenance. My fear, Bongiwe, and hence I put it as a significant risk, is that we've got to make sure that that maintenance is done properly. If that maintenance is not done properly, bearing in mind the maintenance crew are humans, and they're also working under pressure to return the services. If they cut corners and they don't do maintenance properly, then we could be returning units to service which are at a higher risk of failing than what we took them out of. And I made the point, not in the interest of time, that ESCOM should implement aspects of a maintenance philosophy that's implemented in the aircraft industry, where before an aircraft takes off, they do checks and balances and indicators, checks against indicators that ensures that that aircraft takes off safely and makes the journey safely. And finally, Bongiwe, just to be technical, the thermal efficiencies of the 80 units, the old units, being old units, and given that ESCOM is extending their lives, which I also support, is that the thermal efficiency is down, meaning that when you put more energy, you're getting less megawatts output. It's what I call, in simple layman's terms, energy constipated units.
All right.
Back to you, Bongiwe.
All right, Vally, thank you so much for your contributions there. That was Mr. Vally Padayachee, the NRS Management Committee Chair on ESCOM, and whether or not blackouts will be a thing of the past to come next year.